bet I didn't even realize they fell in.
Honestly, I have a Hulk Hogan costume at home, so
Will you be trick-or-treating with the boys tonight?
I'm going to try to. We'll see how late this one goes tonight. But my 12-year-old is still all about it. The 14-year-old just wants to benefit from the work, so he'll eat it all. I'm not sure if he's going to go out there or not, but I'll.
Being literal, you'll go as Hulk. You'll dress up as Hulk.
Yeah, I've got a Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan? That's what you
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
You have the Hulk, the green guy.
You need to post a picture. If you
I-
do it.
I'll post a picture if I get to it. We'll get to it.
That's hilarious.
Why
I was gonna be Michael
Hulk
Jackson.
Hogan?
Well, this is my favorite wrestler growing up because he had blonde hair, and that was Saturday mornings. That was my show growing up. You know, we didn't have cable growing up, so that Saturday morning when WWF was on, I lived for that. And in fact, my brother was 2 years younger than me. He's a dean at Syracuse. One time he's always had a gift for speaking. The local university, Wisconsin-Stevens Point, was hosting WWF. In fact, the Ultimate Warrior was the headliner. And the radio DJ was talking about different things that are about to happen, and my brother at 12 years old calls in and said, "Hey, you got this all wrong. It's really Macho Man is the champion, and this and this and this." And so they brought him in and had him in studio for 4 hours to preview the show at 12 years old. Now he's a dean at Syracuse. So yeah, I love wrestling.
I would have never picked your WWE guy.
Oh God, I loved it.
Oh my God.
Loved it.
So you're a head coach at a prestigious private university, and he's a dean at Syracuse.
Yeah.
We're breaking chairs on each other's backs.
Yeah, we broke a lot of things. We broke a lot of things, for sure.
All right. Well.
Yeah, where do you go from there, right?
That's a great opening statement.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Coach, you want to do an opening statement about the season, and then
Sure.
we'll open it for questions.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's great to be here. It's great to see everybody. We're almost in November, and November means basketball season, games, fans back in the arena are about to happen again. We're on that journey of what we've called internally a race to maturity with our team. We've got a lot of youth. We had a scrimmage against another opponent that we got a lot from, and now tomorrow night it's time to play in front of people, which creates a whole nother environment and variables for our group, but it's exactly what we need to do in this race to maturity that we're on. But I've enjoyed this group every day in practice, and it starts with that. They're really good people. They're motivated. They're hardworking. We feel like we've got a level of talent. We've just got to continue to find ways to experience things and hopefully experience success, but also be able to push through the many pieces of adversity and failures that come that way too. So we're really excited about tomorrow night with Oklahoma Christian coming in and playing from our fans again.
You mentioned the scrimmage, and I think when people saw the score against LSU, it kind of raised a lot of eyebrows. What do you guys take from that game and playing a big-time SEC opponent?
Those scrimmages are so important, and going into a season as you plan, we have the opportunity to either do 2 closed-door scrimmages like that or do 2 exhibitions or one of each, and we chose to do one of each. And we wanted to do that to play against someone with great size, athleticism. We were able to just meet in a gym halfway and play. And we played a 40-minute game, so we were able to have some situations down the stretch. But more than anything, what we look for is our effort and our ability to engage the opponent physically. Was that there? And it was. Now, the execution, we've got a long ways to go. And I know that our opponent would say the same thing. But just the fact that I thought we were physical, I thought we played really hard, I thought that we didn't back down, and we were able to make some things happen. So that was really, really good for us.
And then with the exhibition coming up tomorrow, obviously staying healthy is probably the most important thing, but outside of that, what are you hoping to see from the guys tomorrow night?
Well, we're looking to take steps forward in that execution. Of course, the effort has to be there every night. I tell the guys all the time, that's not for us to coach. It's to let you know if you're going harder enough. But but we need your best every single day, effort-wise. And for the most part, we've had that. So tomorrow night, we're going to go against a team that's a little bit further along in practice. Since when we scrimmaged the first time, we could see a number of different things. And then doing it under the lights where people are watching is a big deal. And that's going through our pregame routines and all those types of things we want to get from tomorrow. So I want to be able to see our execution take a step forward. I want to be able to, again, take a look at a number of different lineups. We've had some guys emerge in the last couple weeks, and we want to play good basketball. And more than all of that, too, we want to our fans to get to know this team. There's a lot of new faces. We want to be able to them know, their numbers and who they are as people, and start to wrap their arms around this team because they're a great group of guys.
I got to know a lot of the guys on Thursday, and I kind of saw you have a lot of sharp shooters on your team. Who do you think is going to be that guy that in really tough situations where you need a big basket? Who's going to be the guy that, I know you're probably still looking for that, but I'm sure you know kind of who is the leader of this team right now.
Well, Kobe Williams is a guy with a lot of experience behind him. And, in fact, he was a guy that was billed as a very good player that didn't shoot it great out of high school, and that's maybe what limited his recruitment a little bit, but he's worked really hard throughout college to be a really, really good three-point shooter. P.J. Haggerty is another guy that shoots it really well. We do a number of different drills and tests to earn the green light to shoot threes. It's posted in our locker room, and that number continues to grow. Keaston Willis has got the most experience shooting the basketball. He's made almost 300 threes in his career. He will not be available for tomorrow, and he's still out for a little while. But we look at a number of different guys from Isaiah Barnes to Josiah McWright to even in our front court with Matt Reed and Jared Garcia. There's just a number of guys that we feel confident in shooting the basketball.
Coach, when I look at the roster, the biggest difference to me in this year's group is just the size compared to last year. You talked about level of talent. You talked about a number of things. What to you is the biggest difference heading into November 1st with this group than you had last year?
Well, I think just as you look on paper, and like I mentioned with the scrimmage, we really wanted to recruit and be able to engage the opponent physically. And that's running, that's jumping, but really it's your ability to hold position. Basketball is very much a contact game. Football's got collisions, and there's some of those in basketball, but in basketball there's so much contact and holding position and being able to own a spot. And so we've got a number of guys now that are 240, 250 pounds. We've got wings that are 210 and 230. Like, that was important to us, to just build a roster that could be flexible and versatile, but then hold position. And so Coach Dietz has done a really good job in the weight room. We had Tyshawn Archie came to us at 142 pounds. He's 160 now. Like, that's still light, but to grow like that is really significant. So we recruited bigger guys, but they're also growing too, and that's been key.
And Coach, you said at the end of last season it was the hardest year you had as a head coach in your life. Now, heading into this season, how are you feeling?
Well, I felt, I look at it a couple of different ways. It was the most challenging year, but is it hard? I mean, there's people with so much harder, out there in the world, from poverty to war to all types of things. So I use this in perspective, but it was challenging. And but I was still and still am very much grateful to be a head coach, grateful to coach and do this, and excited about the challenge ahead each day, because it's a great challenge, no matter what your roster looks like, old, young, all those types of things. And so I love being able to have this opportunity to do this, and because it's still a challenge, there's no doubt. We've got some good pieces here, but we've got a lot of work ahead.
You guys obviously had to do a lot of work reshaping and rebuilding the roster in the offseason. I guess for you personally, how fired up are you to get the season started, see what you actually have in game situations?
Yeah, I'm really excited. When you look at our roster, like I mentioned, Keaston Willis is out right now, but you have one player in Kobe Williams that has real Division I experience behind him. So when we went to that scrimmage, our staff was meeting the night before, and I was like, hey, talk about discovery. Like, we really have no idea what this is going to look like. We know what it's looked like in practice, but what is it going to look like? So we have a lot of that. I have that feeling for tomorrow night. Like, what is this going to look like out in front of people? What are guys going to feel, and how are they going to react to it? But I am really excited to go to work with this group every day. They're really good people. Their energy, their enthusiasm, their coachability, their thirst for just getting better is really fun to be around. And we're just on a mission to, like I said, this race to maturity and just become the best version of us.
Do you kind of have a message for maybe TU fans to get them fired up and get them in the stands for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think it's really more than anything. Let's grow together here, and let's grow the support in the building. I can't say thank you enough for their support last year. I know this group has heard me say it many times. To experience the defeats that we did and still grow in attendance 36% over the year before is maybe one of the most remarkable stories in all of college basketball last year. And so we hope that will continue. I think that they'll really enjoy this group. And I think one of the things that makes Tulsa, the University of Tulsa men's basketball, so special over the years is the connection that the community has had to the players. And this is a brand new set of guys, and they're personable. Say hello to them when you see them around town, because they'll love to say hello right back and get to know this group, and let's grow together.
People have been excited about Jarrett Hall for a while around here. How have you seen his game transition from high school to college over the past couple months?
And it's a major transition, and we're excited about Jared too. We've got 3 true freshmen on the team, and Jared has had some real flashes of doing some special things. I mean, he's 6'9". He's gained about 12 pounds since he's gotten here. We want to keep putting weight on him and add strength and mass. He's got a real versatility, and it's just learning that speed and consistency of college basketball, like all the freshmen. But he's definitely a guy that we're looking to help us this year and continue to improve.
Both Kobe Williams and Keaston Willis you had kind of worked with before at LA Tech. What were some of the things that made you want to bring them over to Tulsa?
So many reasons. Number one, their leadership and just who they are as people. They're everyday guys and knew absolutely what we could expect from them. And as we looked to this year and last spring when we're trying to build the roster and also build with an eye for being good this year, but also building for a great future, is we wanted to lean on those guys as one-year players to provide great leadership and a foundation, and then be able to perform at a high level and be able to pass the torch on to somebody else when they depart. And those guys have, through what they do each day, the example they set, and the messaging that they have in the locker room, we knew that we'd get that from those guys, and they've delivered to this point, and we expect them both to have great years.
Talk a bit about a couple of your transfers. I've heard some good things about Isaiah Barnes. Talk a little bit about him and some of your other transfers, what they bring.
So we had 4 4-year transfers with multiple years left, 2 more with Kobe Williams and Keaston Willis, and we were looking for, in those 4-year transfers, guys that would have multiple years left. And then we were also looking for guys that had been a part of winning and been in good programs, maybe just didn't quite get those minutes yet. And Isaiah Barnes is one that experienced a lot of success as a team at Michigan, was behind NBA draft picks, had an injury earlier in the year when he was getting minutes, and he's been really good. He's a versatile guy for us. He's all of 6'6", almost 6'7", can really bounce. He's shooting the basketball well. He's quick twitch now. I mean, he can spring to the basket, he can rip it. But he's a guy that we feel like could be an X factor for us because he is so versatile. And then same with P.J. Haggerty. He's considered a redshirt freshman, comes from TCU, another NCAA tournament team, played behind some really good guards, and then redshirted last year. He's been a really important player in our program because he can play the point, he can play the 2, he can score it, he can distribute. He's 6'4", and he's just very clever. And so those 2 guys have really emerged. And then Chauncey Gibson, really young player. He just turned 19. He's got great size at 6'5", and still trying to find his way because he's versatile. We're looking at where he can make the biggest impact. And then Mo Keita, he's that shot blocker that we were looking for in the spring, and still trying to gain weight. He played with the national team, for the Guinea national team in August, and he gained some good experience there. But left-handed shot blocker, and he's a guy that he's just, his ranginess and being able to erase a mistake for somebody was something that we really needed. And so all four of those guys we see as having opportunities to help this team this year.
And also, one of your freshmen, Matt Reed, I've heard some good things about him. How's the transition? I know it's tough for a big man to come in major college basketball, but talk a little bit about him. Yeah,
Matt has really impressed with his work ethic and his intensity level throughout a practice. He's one of those guys, we have this system called ConnectSun that can measure how many miles guys are running, their efforts, their bursts, all those things, and he's at the top almost every single day. And he's got real aggressiveness. He can shoot the ball from the perimeter. Of course, he's got so much to learn as a freshman, but his effort has been constant every single day. And you know, he's someone I think our Tulsa fans will love and get to know very, very quick.
Coach, talk about how important the two holdovers that you have from last year have been to making the transition for everybody else coming in here.
Really important, and I'm glad you asked that question. You know, Ari Seals has been in this program for a long time, and not just while he's been walking the campus in class, but he's grown up in this program with his dad, Shay, and we spend a lot of time as a staff sharing basketball history. For example, yesterday, as guys walked in, we had a picture of Moses Malone, number 2 with the Sixers, just a significant, hey, we got 2 days until we play a game, and I'll ask the guys who this is. And because on video games, sometimes there's old players on there, they know who these guys are. But so we talk about all-time NBA greats, but then we talk about Tulsa greats. And Ari has been instrumental in just making sure guys realize the tradition of this program. And then Josiah, as a sophomore, he's been through freshman year before, number one, but he's also done it here. He knows the terminology, and he's so much further along than he was a year ago. So you have Ari and Josiah. You mix that with Kobe and Keeson that we've coached before. Even though they haven't done it here, they have experience with our staff. That's 4 guys that we can help. That can help ground us a little bit in just what we're doing and help shepherd along the other players, and it's been really, really important.
Talk about the potential that you see from Ben Radford.
So Ben is a Tulsa guy, and he's another guy that knows the history here. And he's a walk-on in our program. His mother, Melissa, works on campus here. And you talk about just some Tulsa pride that comes out of somebody. So he's a guy that gives great effort every day. He comes from a great program at Tulsa Memorial. Also spent some time at Cassia Hall early in high school. So he just knows people, and he's a popular person on our campus, and we're very happy he's in our program.
Last season, it seemed like Bryant won Candidate of the Week almost, I'll just say a lot of weeks. How has that award been different in its true meaning this season?
So there's been a lot of competition for it this year, and we've had I know Kobe Williams has won it twice, Matt Reed has won it once, PJ Haggerty's won it once, and so that's been great, and there's been great competition for it. And it also means that we could have some depth too, because you never really, if one guy's winning it all the time, either he's really, really elite or you just don't have that competition. And so it's been good to see from our guys. They're aware of it. We post it in the locker room every day of where we're at and what we value. We talk about it, and it's been really, really good. So I've been pleased with the effort that we've had from guys and just the production. We talk all the time about being great is being consistently really good. It's not about being incredible for 2 days and then taking 2 days off and barely showing up and then letting that average out. It's about showing up every single day, and we're getting that from guys effort-wise and just trying to keep the competition going and execute better and better.
I remember a few days after last season ended, we were in your office, right? And and we were talking about the portal, and I glanced over your shoulder, and there were like 1,500 guys in the portal in that moment. And so, and you knew you had an extensive rebuild ahead of you, but did it feel daunting at the front end of it now that you've got, a solid roster together and you feel good about it? I mean, will it be easier in years to come now that the old template of recruiting and developing, all that's wrecked? And, and it's a new dynamic now, right? So, I mean, but will it be easier for you in the future to manage a roster now that you've gone through this?
Well, I know one of the reasons I was hired here is because I have experience being a head coach, but never experienced signing 11 guys in a year. Now, the way we recruited all of them was very similar to the way we've always done it. It's just had to do more of it. And the number of official visits that we had throughout the whole spring, and we hit on a great percentage, but you still, you swing, and we swung, and we hit on some really good ones too, I think. But college basketball is going to continue and evolve. We've got one more year of the COVID eligibility. So after, not this season, but after the next season, I think college basketball will continue to look a little different. Of course, there's legislation both with NCAA and potentially even Congress that could change it more. We'll just continue to evolve as the environment evolves. And that's the countless conversations our staff has with how can we best position ourselves? What does the right Tulsa basketball player look like? What will we not compromise on? What are we looking for? What is the identity of our team going further? So is it easier? I don't know if it'll ever be easy. What I am hoping for is a roster that we can build around and continue to have more continuity and be able to, as I mentioned earlier, have Kobe and Keeston as our two real seniors be able to finish their eligibility and pass the baton of leadership and ownership onto future guys that are already in the program. And then be able to go out and recruit and find pieces and find guys that help us get better and better.
So does every major college staff now has the advent of the portal, does that mean you have to have a staff member who manages and monitors the portal all day, every day? I mean, is that a thing now? Did you even have to expand your staff, or coaches have to expand staffs to account for the portal?
So when I arrived, we hired Jackson Patton as our director of recruiting, and then as the rules changed, we added on director of player development, so he can be on the floor now and work with guys as part of our countable hours. But he, along with myself and almost every member of our staff in a recruiting role, we are constantly monitoring, and not just what happens online on certain websites or on social media, but just keeping our ear to the ground in the rumblings that you hear over the course of a year. We just want to be in the know on all that stuff. And then as we get to who's in the portal, Jackson, our assistant coaches, Duffy Conroy, Yafet King, Desmond Heyman, myself, Josh Wolf, Alan Massey, who's our analytics guy, like we're diving in the video. And then we even created a formula last year of what are we looking for from guys with limited stats at certain levels of play in certain programs, and just building like a point system, a weighted system to pare those 1,500 names down into a group that, okay, let's really look at these guys.
Coach, I don't think maybe you talked about this when I left the room, but what about your two junior college guys? Where do you see their roles?
Very impactful, and Jared Garcia is somebody that is really emerged here in practice, not just as a player, but as a leader. He's got experience behind him. We were familiar with him. He was at the University of Charlotte when we were at Louisiana Tech and in Conference USA, and then he played a year of junior college basketball and really blossomed in that role, in that expansive role there. But he's a guy at 6'8", 240 pounds that can score inside and out, and we're really counting on him. And then Carlos Williams, he's also a guy that he's had a really good couple weeks here, and that's typical with some guys that haven't experienced maybe Division I, learning the schedule and the the tempo of how practice works. But Carlos is 6'5", 230 pounds, and he's playing a little bit of small forward and power forward, and so those are older guys. If you look at our roster, we don't have a ton of older guys, and those are two of them, and we're certainly counting on those guys to help us.
Any more questions? All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, everybody.